Ms. River Foreman, Ms. Solomon, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Israel to South Africa, Ambassador Canaan, and your dear wife, Rabbi Karif, and all rabbis present, Uncle George Bezos, members of the diplomatic corps, in particular, the Consuls General of the United States of America and France, the Deputy Chair of the CLR Commission, Dr. Palatse, the MMC responsible for health in the city of Johannesburg, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you. I've agonized for a very long time over exactly what it was I was supposed to communicate to this gathering tonight. I was given a topic, though, and the topic is justice and democracy, our path thus far. And that is what I have been trying to make sense of ever since I was called upon to address this gathering, particularly for the past 2 weeks. And when it began to look like I wasn't going to have anything to say, I turned to the Deputy Chief Justice yesterday. I said, look, this is the topic that I've been asked to address. What do you think? He said, just deal with the judgments that you've written. It didn't quite strike the chord. And today I asked my colleagues, a group of Constitutional Court judges, I said, colleagues, this is the topic that I've been asked to address. What do you think? One of them said, you know, the good thing with a topic like this is that you can say just about anything you want to say. Happily, only at about 2:30, 3 o'clock this afternoon, did it strike me that there is indeed a message to convey. It is no coincidence that in 1948, Israel became the state it never was before. And that was a prophetic reality. And in 1948, apartheid was institutionalized in South Africa. But we know that it was on the 70th year, as a man by the name of Daniel started praying, that it was revealed to him that the bondage that his people have had to endure for many years has come to an end. It cannot be sheer coincidence that I stand here in this temple to address this gathering on the 70th year, counting from the date when one of the worst systems imaginable was introduced in this country, and that day is inconsequential. It can't be. The similarity bears great significance. And maybe let me step back and make this point which I urge you to reflect on as the message progresses. There is a particular connection between Israel and Africa. Remember, when there was famine where Abraham was, of the many countries, the one country he could think of so that it's sustained and doesn't starve of hunger was an African country by the name of Egypt. I say it was not a coincidence. And when many years later, humanity had to be saved from starvation, humanity unaware that starvation was looming in the horizon, somebody by the name of Joseph had to come to Africa so that a message, a profound message could be communicated to all. That it doesn't matter how unlikely it appears, something good can emerge wheresoever God wants it to emerge. And the rest is history. Let me step back and ask you to reflect as the message proceeds. The message that struck me is this message of hope. That's the message that I felt led to communicate to you. Why? If in 1994 we were where we were, and in came Nelson Mandela, and through his coming in, South Africa began to be celebrated by the whole world. And on the good story went until at some stage, I'm reliably informed by those who know better than I do, our economic muscle was so strong that our reserves stood at 600 billion rands. And we are now at the level of junk status. The message we deserve to hear as South Africans, including the Jewish community that is in South Africa, is a message of hope. And I know of no other people, probably except for the Jews and South Africans, who have lived in desperation to be able to speak with authority about the need to entertain hope in circumstances where everything else seems to point to hopelessness. Remember, the Joseph I have alluded to became a slave. In that state of utter hopelessness, he then became a managing director of a company. A slave is supposed to amount to nothing. And yet, of all the free people who were there, he was appointed. He was favored to be the managing director of a company of a man by the name of Potiphar. And it flourished against all odds. Just when he thought it would move from a better situation to the best, things turned around because he refused to compromise principle and pursue justice for a better world. Was thrown into jail. All the hopes that he had, the good hopes, seemed to be dashed. We thought from those reserves, 600 billion rands, we can only march to a greater tomorrow considering where we came from. But junk status is staring us in the face. But that's no reason to be hopeless, because we know that Joseph moved from prison to the office of Prime Minister. And when it looked like Israel, the people of Israel were about to disappear, he was available to say, Dad and the entire family, come to Africa. I'm here. I'm the man in charge. Come and prosper they did in Africa. In a South Africa that is grappling with racism, and it looks like will never again be as one as our Constitution promises us to be. And it begins to look like all those efforts made by Nelson Mandela to reconcile the people and make sure that it's very much in line with the preamble to our Constitution, we are united in our diversity. We need to reflect on the lives of the people of Israel, who, according to the story I knew, are not known for discriminating against black people. When Abraham sought refuge in Africa, for the first time I went to Egypt and visited their museum, and I saw that the older kings were all people of very, very dark pigmentation. I say, how you people are light-skinned? Why is it that your kings look like this? They said, even at the time when Abraham was here and Moses, it is people from the north of Egypt who were the pharaohs, very dark in pigmentation. For Abraham to choose to go to people of that pigmentation suggests that he was not a racist at all. And there is, I think, a lot to be learned from the Jewish people about living with other people regardless of what their culture or race might be. It didn't end there. His wife saw Hagar as a woman, not a black person or somebody from Africa, but a woman worthy enough to stand in for her, wrong or right as she might have been. I think she was wrong to do that. Similarly, Moses did not discriminate. He married an Ethiopian woman. Joseph married somebody from Egypt. Here lies the hope. We ought not to participate in things that tend to deepen the divisions of the past. We need to reflect on the positives and connect with the positives that were all around us at the time when Madiba was the president of this great country. We need to see ourselves as South Africans, not as black and white people. When we do, we will then focus on what we need to focus on. The many things that we share in common as the Israeli people, the people of South Africa, as the South African people. When we do that, the possibility of turning the fortunes of South Africa around becomes even more brighter. I don't know of many nations that are able to be productive in a desert or semi-desert environment. Somebody told me, is it a kibbutz system or something? Just imagine if we were to focus on the possibilities of using whatever technology makes that possible, if technology is involved, and how best to employ that in South Africa, in our agricultural sector. Imagine how we would transform our economy. Okay, thank you. I think the time has come, talking about hope and justice, to reflect on a daily basis on what is it that was unjust about the South Africa of the past. And what is it that we have done from 1994 up until now to undo the injustices, the Constitution calls them, of our past. What is it that we do on a daily basis to heal the divisions that are all around us? As individuals and as a collective, are we contributing to the deepening of the divisions? Or do we play a role in uniting the people of South Africa? This which Rabbi Weiler has done, how many times have we reflected on the possibility of replicating what he has done all over the country, to the point where we even built universities? I got shocked visiting South Korea when I asked, how many universities do you have? They said 200. I said, are they functional? They said they are all functional, both public and private. And we have what? Is it 23 or 26? And their population is no bigger than ours, just about the same number, the same size. There is so much going on for South Africa. We just allow ourselves to indulge in the laziness that forces you to settle down in the narratives that others craft for you to live by. May we use this 70th year as a turning point in South Africa. May we tick the one box that I have alluded to earlier. Let's agree to fight racism because it is very dangerous. We will never be able to do much. There will never be any hope to write home about until we key into the good work that Madiba had started, take that baton, individually and collectively, and seek to unite our people, the people of South Africa. Let's look for practical things to do on a daily basis to end this embarrassment. We know there is nothing behind the skin color. The biblical heroes I have mentioned have demonstrated that to us beyond any doubt. What then are we doing? Why then are we allowing ourselves to be trapped by something so senseless as the belief that mere whiteness, mere blackness suggests either wisdom or stupidity? I think let it become a project. Let us be vocal against anything that is being done to perpetuate racism. We are too quiet as South Africans, black and white. We are too quiet, as if we don't know that foundational to the injustices of the past was racism. So once we open up the eyes of all our people to the danger and the toxicity of racism and begin to work towards its elimination, then we will make progress. What do we mean by South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity? We had to say it because South Africa never used to look like it belongs to all who live in it. For many years, and still now, it looks like it belongs to only some South Africans, not all of them. And the question is, how do we move beyond rhetoric? What practical steps should we take to make this, to translate this into a reality? Who do you allow yourself to be led by? Whose opinions are you trapped by? As I said, the people of Israel are some of the few I have known to be able to locate hope where everybody has given up Think about the Red Sea experience. By the way, I had a most amazing encounter in January when I, for the first time, was on the Red Sea. It will waste a lot of our time if I were to indulge in that. But you have the Red Sea here and the Egyptians behind you. Absolute hopelessness. You have racism, you have junk status, you have all sorts of other things that are presently happening in this country, all around you. It looks like a very hopeless and impossible situation. Connecting with your experience. What positive energies, for want of a better expression, can we release, confident that there is a brighter tomorrow ahead of us? My limited experience has taught me that it is, especially when it looks like the future is bleak, that the land of milk and honey is just around the corner. I've seen it in my own life. When everybody seemed to think, this man is finished. Others will say, this man, why don't you just withdraw your candidacy? I knew, based purely on the experience of the people of Israel, that there is a brighter tomorrow just around the corner. I dare not give up. I've seen it at the Red Sea. I've seen it when Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in the fiery furnace that was made 7 times hotter than normal. They were confident as you and I ought to be, that it's not a mistake. It is not a coincidence. That in circumstances where in almost all African countries, white people left in droves as soon as those countries became independent, but not so in the southern tip of Africa. They stayed. Why? Because South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. And if Africa were to be revolutionized to become the superpower that it proved to be capable of being during the years of Joseph, then it's going to take people of all races, people of all religions in this country, as united as they were in 1994 at the dawn of our constitutional democracy, to make it happen. I keep on telling people, talking about hope, and I'll never stop saying this. When the conservatives stormed the hall in which negotiations were held, many lost hope. When Chris Hani was killed, not long before we were to hold the elections, it was so hopeless that some of us, it's over. We knew it. But those are comparatively less serious situations juxtaposed to where we are right now. We dare not give hope. People dare not disinvest from South Africa. We've got it all going for us. Justice. Justice. We're so privileged, we're so blessed. I'm told by many people that at a time when it looked like our democracy was finished, the justice machinery of South Africa kicked into action to assure South Africans that the hopelessness that you think has descended upon our nation is not what we ought to focus on. There is a brighter tomorrow because there is no force stronger than justice and righteousness on earth. And the downward spiral of our constitutional democracy was arrested. And the rest is history. All those who seemed to be instrumental and capable of ruining a better tomorrow or the prospects of a better tomorrow for us, where are they? Look left, look right, where are they? What is it that can destroy our constitutional democracy now? Let's work hard to heal the divisions of our past, to improve the quality of life of our people, to free their potential, and we've got to pray. Let me wrap it up. Individually and collectively, do we have a plan to root out crime, or are we going to overindulge on the lamentations relating to the crime situation of South Africa? If you are positive about the future of this country, then it means you spend your time looking for solutions. And individually and collectively, and at some stage, you've got to be able to release your plan. Here is my challenge to you as I conclude. It's embarrassing that with all the resources at our command, we have so much crime in South Africa. And you and I must begin to work towards rooting out crime. Don't assume that just because people are in government, they necessarily have the solution to all the problems we have. I visited the city of Shanghai in China, and I said, you people say the population is 24 million here. I asked my colleagues, how do you deal with crime? They said to every police person, there are 3 lay police people attached. We prioritize police visibility. And the truth of the matter is, in any city, in any country in the world where there is peace and stability, police visibility is critical. They even have mobile police station. There's a bus, there's a truck appropriately converted so that people can see that the police are here, you can report crime here. They've poured their resources into ensuring that their cities are peaceful. Has the time not come for us to prioritize our projects? Part of our difficulties seems to be trying to do everything all at the same time. We have many important things to do, but we don't have endless resources. We've got to prioritize crime. Police visibility is critical. And rooting our police service of rotten apples is a priority. I was hit hard today to learn from the news that the men I know, the men I have interacted with and had learned to respect as a competent policeman, who was heading a province, was convicted of things that relates to corruption and all sorts of things, money donated by people in the drug world. I was shocked to the core. That ought to say to you and I, the time for us to speak and speak loud enough about restructuring our police service and ensuring that it's professionalized, that their detective capabilities are at the level where they ought to be, has come. Because if you don't have a competent police service, people who know what they are doing, they will investigate, arrest people. You'll think that the right people have been arrested. When courts acquit them, you say, you see these magistrates and these judges, they must have been given a bribe. A man was arrested and they've let him go. Competence is critical, even in the police force. A strong intelligence service is a priority. So that before Moegeng is on fire as it was a few weeks ago, there is at least reliable intelligence to say something is coming, deploy police, we suspect that you may even need an army, the police may not be enough. Before people's property is destroyed and the international community that was aware of what is happening in Moegeng as a result of the president coming back begins to say, we were about to go and invest in that nation. But look at how our investment is going to be exposed to damage. So, peace, stability, and security is critical to the tomorrow that we must all hope for. I had a discussion with one president, and one of the issues that I raised with him, because I was impressed with the quick progress in his nation. I said, how did you get it right? He said, crime prevention and rooting out corruption. We know the corrupt. We've been worried for a very long time about corruption. What plans on a daily basis do you develop as a contribution towards helping all of us root out corruption from our system? The solution is not necessarily going to come from government. They need your input, they need my input to come up with a workable solution for the eradication of the problems that have for too long bedeviled our country. I have, for about 2 years now, been talking about the need to address in a very forthright way the land issue. Happily, there is a conversation. But my challenge to you now, in pursuit of justice and democracy, is as people in Parliament are thinking about what to do, they are consulting people, form your own opinion. Find a solution that can be acceptable to all the people of South Africa, so that this problem is not addressed in a manner that will deepen our divisions. It is addressed in a manner that is so acceptable to all of us that it would in fact unite us. It's not too late, they are still discussing. It would be wonderful, Ms. Foreman, if this center could have, how many minutes am I left with?
A few, but carry on.
Okay. If even here, one Saturday or every Saturday, you settle down and reflect on what solutions to put forward for the betterment of South Africa. You are a very powerful voice, and you ought to recognize that as an individual, as a group, and as a community. Part of our problem is, as South Africans, is that we have become specialists in fault finding. Very good. They are not doing this. This is your country. Our preamble doesn't say the government will. It says we, the people of South Africa. So it's your responsibility to identify a solution. And as you do, you will even be able to select leaders whose viewpoints resonate with what you have already identified as a solution for tomorrow. Let us not be so lazy as to outsource our thinking, responsibilities to other people. That is not what Joseph did. He could have said, Potiphar has been a business person all this long. The best thing that I've ever done was to look after my father's flock. And even then, my bigger brothers had a huge responsibility. No, he didn't. So your view matter a great deal. The economy. I haven't heard voices except from the economists. We have outsourced issues about the future of our economy to economists. It shouldn't be. Sitting here as a person who is not a business person, but interacting with business people because I'm worried about the future of our country, I ask them, What problems do you have? It takes too long to process a business application in this country. You people have made the system just too complicated. It shouldn't be. Go to many countries where people find it easy to come in and make business. The regulatory framework has been eased without compromising what matters the most, so that business people find it easy to come in and invest. What is it that others do? What incentives do others give potential investors so that they find it easy to invest and they are convinced that you can invest and settle in this country for many years to come? What we must never fail to do, though, is this. I think I must close. Don't mislead investors. Don't tell them that the land issue is not a problem. It is a problem. Don't look for solutions that are based on a false foundation, but encourage solutions that can unite us. Don't tell them that meaningful participation in the economic mainstream is not, by the previously disadvantaged, is not something that ought to be prioritized, because it must be prioritized. The how is what you and I must worry about, must be vocal about, must write articles about in the media, so that whoever comes into this country comes with his or her eyes wide open about the exact nature of the challenges that would confront him or her when he comes here. So, finally, the brighter tomorrow is just around the corner. Come 2019, South Africa will be radically different from what it is now. We have everything going for us. Believe you me, I've seen things in this nation, positive and negative, but there is a lot of good available to help us if only we were to unite, focus on what matters the most, prioritize what cries out for urgent attention, pour our energies into them. If we could fight for unity and reconciliation, don't see ourselves as white and black, but as a people of South Africa, people of goodwill, who don't care whether we are being condemned or not, who refuse to be distracted. Come 2019, together we will make sure that only that, which will surely make sure that there is good governance in this country, ethical leadership, people of integrity in all positions of responsibility. Everything that requires that is done, and we have that system in place. We are not short of good leaders. We are not short of principled and ethical leaders in this country. I don't know about you, but I really am sick and tired of sophisticated theft. Maybe I should go. I never run out of what to say. It's the lawyering and so. And as I said, the solution is in your hands. The solution is in my hands. We have strong institutions in South Africa. Cast your mind back. Once upon a time, our parliament was not in a position to hold members of the executive as accountable as the Constitution demands of them to. But because of justice, the justice system kicked into operation and said, you can't do that. You have a responsibility to discharge, and are they not doing it now? And are they not doing it well? So there's been a lot of good developments happening in this country. I will not touch on politics. That's not my area. A judge should not be talking about politics. But South Africans of all races have demonstrated at times, come together to register their displeasure about whatever it is they considered inappropriate walking in the streets. So let's condemn whatever it is that is wrong. We are afraid to say it is wrong to damage property. We must say so. Your silence encourages people to damage. We must encourage even our media houses to be forthright in saying people enjoy your rights to march, but damaging private and public property is not right, it's not a solution. We are too shy because it's not politically correct to say so. Let's stand up for what is right. The Jewish community has been part of South Africa for ages. I'm sure you're not going anywhere. You know that this is your country. Let's join hands and enforce the South Africa that is just a few months away from here. Thank you very much.